How many people here have some experience? How many people own Bitcoin or Ethereum or another cryptocurrency? Okay. All right, it's a pretty good fraction. How many people actually work in the space, have built a decentralized application or are working at a blockchain-related company? 1. Okay. 2. All right. And so for the people that own a cryptocurrency, why did you decide to buy a cryptocurrency? What about it is interesting to you?
Ready for a new paradigm.
Ready for a new paradigm.
Want to support it.
Want to support it. Cool. Okay, great. It sounds like there's a kind of mix of different levels of experience here. Some people that are somewhat into it, some people that are completely new. So I'm going to try to make this something that will be engaging to everyone here in the audience. So we're going to start this talk right here just by going over the basics of how blockchain work, and we're actually going to build a very small blockchain here in the room together so that we all have a sense of how it works. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to start by making a completely centralized currency. So can I have a volunteer who's going to be our centralized bank authority? What's your name?
Suraj.
Suraj. All right, Suraj. Can we give Suraj a round of applause right now? Suraj, would you please stand up? Can you stand up? Can you come up here to the front of the room, Suraj? Suraj, I'm going to give you a notepad and a pen, and you are going to use this handy-dandy notepad to keep track of everyone's balances. So can I have a couple of volunteers be part of our little economy here?
Sure.
Yeah, what's your name?
Manuel.
Manuel. Stand up, Manuel. And can I get 2 more?
Nick.
Nick. Join us, Nick. And can I get someone from the back? What's your name?
Joyce.
Joyce. Joyce, come on up. Okay. So we have Manuel, Nick, and Joyce. Okay, so Suraj. So you are going to keep accounts for Manuel, Nick, and Joyce. And can you start them all with, we need to make, first of all, what's the currency called? What are we going to call the currency here?
Let's go with Litecoin.
Litecoin. Well, let's make a new currency.
All right.
It's not Litecoin. It's a new currency.
Okay, Kovo coin.
Kovo coin. All right, let's make Kovo coin. All right, so can you start each of these 3 folks with 10 Kovo coin in their account?
10 Kovo coin.
All right. Cool. So you're going to keep track of how much they each have. Now, let's say one of them wants to spend money. What do? They're going to come up to you, and they're going to say, "Hey, I'd like to give Joyce one of my Kovo coins. So can you go and make a transaction?" So you're going to come up here to the bank, and you're going to say, "Hey, I'd like to give Joyce one of my Kovo coins."
Hey, I want to give Joyce 3 of my Kovo points.
Wow.
3 of them. All right, generous. All right, so
I owe enough.
so Suraj is going to update the balances, and he's going to transfer the Kovo coins. Now let's see how resistant is this to censorship or to someone freezing funds. Let's say Suraj decides, "Hey, I don't actually want to let you to make that transaction because maybe you're a dissident in Iran, and we've decided that we don't want to allow you to transfer your money." So now all of a sudden you go over and you say, "Hey, I'd like to make this transaction," and it's completely up to the centralized authority whether he wants to let it go through or not. Does that make sense? Now it also means he's keeping track of the balances, and so if he wanted to, he could just update things to give himself a little bit more, or to give his friends a little bit more. And if you came in one day and your balance wasn't the same, then there would be nothing you could do about it. And also, if there's information that you wanted him to keep secret, that it's completely up to him. You're completely trusting him to be secure with how he's managing all of his servers and all of his data. So you're 100% trusting Suraj to not reveal any of your data or to run his operation in an insecure manner. Cool. So that's a centralized system. Okay, so now we're going to decentralize it. Are you ready?
But why?
I'm sorry, my friend. I am sorry.
I can't let you.
So let's give Suraj a round of applause, first of all, for being a great central authority. And we are going to replace Suraj with a decentralized network of people that are going to do almost the same job, but they're all going to be checking each other's work. So I'm going to have, let's say the 5 people that are sitting right here. I'm going to give you each a notepad. So can you take one, pass it along? And I'm going to give you each a pen. And you are now all going to be keeping track of balances. All right? You're going to all be keeping track of balances. So now the way it's going to work is if you want to spend some money. So let's say Joyce. So first of all, can everyone write down how much money each person has for starters? So you're going to say Joyce and Manuel.
Yeah, you started out with 10.
Oh, 13.
13, 7.
A little slow.
All right, so Joyce and Manuel and Nick have 13 and 7 and 10 coins respectively. Now in order to spend money, so we have this pool of miners. Who's familiar with the term miners? Cool, so miners are the one in a decentralized network, like Bitcoin or like Ethereum, miners are the one that are keeping track of everyone's balances. And so they're doing the job of a centralized bank who's keeping track of people's balances. So now if you want to make a transaction, Joyce, like let's say you want to pay, can you tell me your name one more time? Nick. Joyce, let's say you want to pay Nick some of your Kovo coin. So you're going to go and tell these miners that you're paying Nick the Kovo coin. Okay. So go ahead and make a transaction and go tell them that you're paying Nick a Kovo coin. Make sure that all of them get it.
Okay, I'm going to pay him 4 Kovo coins.
All right, 4 Kovo coin. Cool. So
You're down to 9.
So Joyce just announced that she's paying Nick 4 Kovo coin. Now, all the miners are writing that down and updating the balances, right? So here's the question. What if some of the miners didn't hear? Or maybe other miners are trying to suppress certain transactions on the network. How do we as a network come to consensus about which transactions actually happened? One miner might say, oh, I didn't hear that. I don't think Joyce paid the Kovo coin. Another one say, oh, she did. Right? Another one, how do we actually come to consensus about which transactions happened? Does anyone know how it works in something like Bitcoin? Who's heard of proof of work before? Pretty much everyone. Okay, good. So what proof of work is it is an algorithm, it is a process for randomly selecting one miner who's going to do what's called publishing a block. And so here we're going to have a different random process. I'm going to pass around some cards. Can you shuffle these up and then flip the top one? And if you get the ace of spades, then you have been chosen to mine the block. And so you're going to take these, pass it along. Oh, you got, all right, first one. You got it. So now you're mining the block. So now so pass along all the cards. Pass along all the cards. All right, then he's going to keep shuffling. And you're going to shuffle until, and if you get the ace of spades, you're going to mine the next block.
Okay.
All right, now that process is going to happen. So you just keep passing him along and then you're going to keep mining blocks. So proof of work is a process for randomly selecting miners to mine blocks. And whichever miner mines the block, they are going to announce, this is the official record of the transactions that happened in the last 10 minutes or so. So Bitcoin, on average, a block is mined every 10 minutes. In Ethereum, it's mined every 15 seconds. It depends on how fast they shuffle and how many cards I put in the deck, right? So they're going to choose one person to mine a block. Now, why is it important to have a mining process where someone's going to mine a block like that? Why do you need that?
The integrity of the process.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The integrity of the process. You need to randomly have one person do it. If one person had a higher probability, if one person had, like, let's say a 90% probability of being the one to mine a block, it'd be very easy for them to suppress certain transactions. They could say, hey, when I announce the official transactions, I'm not going to include Manuel's transactions, or I'm not going to include Nick's transactions, because I don't want them to be able to transfer their money. So now all of a sudden you'd have a centralized system again. Decentralized applications like Bitcoin and Ethereum are always relying on a large number of miners around the world doing this work of keeping track of the current state of the system. Who has how much money?
Who designates miners?
Great question. Great question. Who designates miners? Does anyone know the answer to that?
Yourself. You can be
Yourself.
a miner yourself.
You just choose to be a miner.
Yeah.
You can just choose to be a miner. So one thing that's interesting about how these systems work is that they are completely open. So you can, for example, you can go online and we can actually watch in real time what's happening in the Bitcoin network. So this right here is a visualization. I'm connecting to the Bitcoin network and I'm not actually mining, but I am listening to the transactions just like miners do. And what this is doing is it's making a little ping sound every time there's a transaction on the Bitcoin network. What you're seeing here is in real time the transactions on the Bitcoin network that are happening. So right here, I don't know if you can read, this says 20 Bitcoin. So this is someone in the world just transferred 20 Bitcoin to someone else. Here we have a 370 Bitcoin transaction. So how much is one Bitcoin worth? Does anyone know? 6,000, that's right. So it depends which hour you check. But how much money is 370 Bitcoin? A lot. How much? $180,000.
No, it's way more than that.
Way more than that. 1.8 million. So we just saw, it looks like about $1.8 million just changed hands on the network, and we can watch that happen. Now, one thing to note is that transaction is not actually official yet. It's not official. When does it become official?
When miners verify.
When miners verify, when it gets published in a block. That's right. And so when one of these folks actually publishes the block and says, hey, these are the transactions that actually happened, that's when the transaction is locked in. And that's when it becomes irreversible. So this is just showing the feed in real time. And if we wait for long enough, randomly, one of the miners is going to get lucky. They're going to pull out an ace of spades, and they're going to mine a block. Before we wrap up, and only a few more minutes, I wanted to mention block rewards. So why are miners incentivized to mine? It's hard work. They got to spend all this time keeping track of transactions, right? Shuffling the cards, trying to get the ace of spades. Why? What incentivizes these miners to mine?
They get
a little cut. Right, so miners are going to get a reward. So whenever a miner mines a block, they get to add an extra transaction, which says, I get 12.5 Bitcoin out of nowhere. And that's just their payment for being a miner. And the faster a miner you are, the faster you shuffle, the faster you're keeping track of transactions, the more often you're going to be chosen to mine the block and to get that 12.5 Bitcoin. Now, how much is 12.5 Bitcoin? $70,000. $70,000. That's not bad, right? You just got a $70,000 payday. Now, that happens every 10 minutes. So all around the world, there are computers that are mining Bitcoin, and every 10 minutes, one of them gets paid $70,000 for providing that service to the network, right? That's pretty interesting. Now, what does that come out to daily? That's $10 million per day. So Bitcoin is shelling out $10 million per day for people to run servers to mine Bitcoin. All right, that's a pretty big operation that they can afford. It actually has become the largest computing network on our planet. It is bigger than Google's system or Facebook's system. It's bigger than the government's scientific computing. It's bigger than any supercomputer in the world.
NSA computers?
It's hard to say. I don't work at the NSA, but it's probably bigger than the NSA computers. Because remember, this is like $3 billion per year or so, right? Like I worked at Google, and I don't think even Google spent $3 billion per year on computing. So that's a lot of money.
Where does that 12.5% comes from? Who loses when that gets paid out to the miner?
The miner gets it immediately when they mine a block. When they publish the block, they actually say like, okay, here's the block, these are the official transactions, and I'm also adding one little extra transaction, which gives me 12.5. And everyone agrees that is okay. That is the official.
Who's on the other end of it, though?
It's like minting money.
It's actually like minting money. It's a transaction from nowhere to me. It's freshly created Bitcoin, and that's actually the only way that Bitcoin are created in the Bitcoin land. But many other currencies work differently, and in some of them they don't have mining rewards, and some of them they have very different mining systems. But the way it works in Bitcoin is you just get 12.5 from absolutely nowhere, and it's yours if you're mining. And so that's what incentivizes you to mine. So I can connect my computer to the Bitcoin network and mine right now. I know we only have a couple more minutes, so what I wanted to do was, I know that I don't have time to take all of your questions, but like if everyone could pull out their cell phone right now, can you take out your phone? And could you either tweet at me or send me an email with one thing that you're curious about? Just do it right now. Just do it right now. We've got a couple of minutes. Thank you all for joining me today. This is something that I'm really passionate about and think is a tremendous opportunity for our society to change how a lot of things work. I would be happy to, if you want to stay after and ask me any questions, I'd be happy to do that. So that's it. I'll let you get to the other talks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.